Nations, you know, they'll be one of the favourites, and they are capable of beating anybody on their day. So, you know, it'll be an interesting Five Nations for them. You know, whether they build to the World Cup or they try and, you know, establish with the side that they have now.
OK, Jonathan, thanks. The formality is just about to begin at Lansdowne Road. Well, we'll have time to explore the events of the first 40 minutes with Gavin Hastings, with Dennis Hickey, Jonathan Davis at half-time. But now for this first match in the Lloyd's TSB Five Nations Championship, let's join our commentary team at Lansdowne Road, Philip Matthews and Nigel Starmer-Smith.
Welcome to a wet and windy Lansdowne Road, but it's boiling here in the Hearts as Ireland's president, Mary McAleese, is presented to the French team. Well, it's the last game, as Steve said earlier, of the Lloyd's TSB Five Nations Championship, in place since 1910, but it'll now be superseded by a Six Nations competition as Italy join in next year. And here Ireland face these men, the double Grand Slam champions. Ireland bidding for a first victory over France for 16 years. Expectancy and optimism buoyed up not least by the happenings here last weekend when Ulster won the European Cup. Extraordinary scenes as the whole stadium was on its feet, applauding for the last 5 minutes, knowing victory was assured. The officials of the day, and it will be Paddy Johns to introduce Ireland's team. There have been some extraordinary goings-on over here. Noel Murphy there, the Irish Rugby Football Union president, just behind the President of the Republic. I mentioned extraordinary goings-on. Yesterday, Ireland A beat France for the first time since 1975, and Ireland's under-21 beat France under-21 for the first time ever. So can this senior side complete a remarkable treble by beating France at senior level for the first time since '83? And one man who hopes for sure that they will do so is alongside me, Phil Matthews. Phil, is this to be the parting of the ways, if you like, and the start of something new in Irish rugby?
Well, Nigel, I think we're certainly due a win today, considering it's 1983 since we last beat France. Yeah, I've been putting my neck out in a bit of a limb so far this week. I'm fully expecting an Irish win today, and I certainly think that the team should be fully expecting to win. I think Ulster have raised the expectations, the standards, the levels of expectations throughout Ireland over their exploits over the last few weeks, and it's not insignificant, as you mentioned already, that the junior sides both won leading up to this game, and that's certainly going to add to the air of confidence within the camp at the moment.
Well, you can see the umbrella held high. It's a wet afternoon, but I suppose in the past we'd have said that's a big advantage to Ireland. No more, I guess, in the modern game. It's as disadvantageous to Ireland as to anybody.
I think that's right, because I think if the modern rules in rugby dictate that you've got to do something with the ball, and that Ireland certainly today are going to have to attack just as the way Ulster did and be constructive. And likewise, France, so, you know, the conditions are going to be, I think, going to be even for both sides.
So as the president leaves to take her seat in the stand, there's a youngster, a big day for Brian Silk. He's just 9 from Cashel in County Tipperary, and he's the mascot for the day. What a wonderful contrast alongside Paddy Johns he makes, this youngster. A great moment for him, and Paddy Johns is one of his own favourite players, appropriately. So the teams stand, the tension mounts, the stands fill in eager anticipation of a great opening day to the Five Nations Championship. And the players wait. Nerve-wracking moments these for player and spectator alike, as we listen now to the Marseillaise. Tricolours fly high for the reigning Grand Slam champions of the last 2 years. A further anthem to be played. That's some roar. And finally, the theme tune of Irish rugby, Ireland's Call. Standing tall, shoulder to shoulder, the inspiration again of Lansdowne Road at full voice. And so France, with a pack retained in its entirety from last season. A late call-up though was Benetton from Lievremont, and Ireland's team, which we see first, a wave of confidence highlighted by that Ulster triumph, bringing in the Ulster captain David Humphreys as fly-half, goal-kicker, launcher of Gary Owens, the man they hope will launch the brilliant O'Shea, and the newcomers to the Five Nations, London Irish partner, the winger Justin Bishop, Tournaire, Gervin Dempsey. Jeremy Davidson, now of Cast, returns after missing all last season, and Andy Ward is replaced by Eric Miller, who gets his recall. A pack that will rise to the occasion, but have they the try-scorers as well? And here, France. Benetton, the late call-up for Lievremont. He was a replacement, though, in 3 of the games last season. Same half-backs, too. The general at scrum-half, Philippe Carbonneau. The catalyst, Castaignede at fly-half. Bit of a question mark about his fitness, and so too Emile Ntamack, who's now at full-back for the first time in the Five Nations. Brouzet and Ibanez, the captain, doubtful starters. That apart, it's hard to see a flaw. And it will be in this swirling breeze. The referee, Peter Marshall, his first visit to Lansdowne Road, his 17th test match, and this is Thomas Castaignede to set underway the Five Nations 99. And already a very good opening take, and set back by Costello, but immediately a penalty as Ireland stay on top and don't get away, and that's an early setback.
An early setback, and Victor Costello just becoming a little bit exposed, a bit of uncertainty in that kickoff. It was strange the way Castaignede placed it. It was almost in no man's land. The call from Costello was late, and indeed the rest of his forwards didn't respond quick enough. He got isolated, and looks like he held on too long.
And as an injury receives attention, it's just tucked into touch, as so often happens now. And quickly back on his feet is Olivier Magne. What an outstanding player he was. Tremendous mobility, the open side flanker. Castaignede then with the touch for France, about 15 metres out. The throw in by Ibanez, the captain. And it's nicely wrapped up at the front by Fabien Pelous. France drive 10 metres out in the traditional mid-blue shirts. The tackle as Lombard comes in from the left wing. Newcomer he, taken on by Pelous again. Pelous, 5 metres out. Danger here already, but a loose ball well picked up. Costello breaks away. The roars of relief from the crowd, and Humphreys in the scrum cap clears well. Oh, that's a superb opening salvo from David Humphreys.
And a tremendous confidence booster, because things were looking a little bit dangerous there. France were in danger of getting onto the good start that they really want to get off to today, but Victor Costello recovered it.
But we have, as we look at David Humphreys, an injury to Thomas Lombard, the new man on the wing, bringing just his third cap today. He looks as though he may have pulled a hamstring as he came in off the left flank. He's obviously in some pain here. Let's see if we can tell how it happened. There's the incident, and it must have been in that moment as France continued threateningly under the post. Fabien Pelous. And it was a good piece of rescue, perhaps a little carelessness on France's part that allowed the ball to go loose, and Costello to save the day, Humphreys to clear. So attention still for Thomas Lombard as the line-out forms. There's Peter Clohessy playing his best rugby ever in his 24th international today. Young Munster, but perhaps a little bit of a euphemism. He's 32 now, is Clohessy. And there's the magic spray going on in great amounts. The line-out is not won cleanly. And France take it through Castaignede, the short, sharp pass. Dourthe is downed on France's 10-metre line. Flicked away. That's pretty emphatic by Magne. Good link. Out now to Lievremont, Thomas Lievremont. Bursts 2 tackles just outside the 22. Carbonneau in possession, but this time it's straight down and over the top, says Peter Marshall, the Australian referee from Sydney. And the relief of the clearance penalty for Ireland.
Temporary relief for Ireland with the line-out to come, Nigel, but it looks like France have been very, very clear about their objectives at the moment. They're taking the game right to Ireland, and they're managing to break the game line. Ireland are going to certainly have to stiffen up and shore up this defence.
A very direct style here. Carbonneau with the scrum cap. It's becoming quite a pattern these days. The setup there by Lievremont. From the line out now, it's McGuinness to Humphreys. A little loop move in the middle. Miller drives on over the 10-metre line. That's good ground gained. McGuinness. Keith Wood, as ever, stands off. Costello takes on. Good linking, good support play, but almost intercepted by Carbonneau. Is offside. Penalty Ireland.
And a good piece of constructive play from Ireland there. Interesting to see what Ireland have picked, a very, very constructive back row with both O'Quinnigan and Miller and Costello all very strong on the ball. The interesting link is going to be McGuinness at scrum half, and that middle five, including Humphreys as well. Can McGuinness serve Humphreys today, and can he get his box kicks in the right area, which has been a little bit of a weakness in the past?
Well, all he needs to do is replicate his form in Stade de France last year, when he had an outstanding game against the French, Ireland losing, you recall, in the last minutes by the narrowest margin of 18-16. So here a chance, an important psychological moment for David Humphreys. Can he give Ireland the lead after just 6 minutes? No, you could hear from the crowd immediately. He hooked it slightly. Disappointment for David Humphreys, the Ulster captain. Recalled today his 8 penalty goals in his Irish career of 11 games up till today. But it's a big responsibility he takes on. Castaignede goes long. Humphreys takes the link now with Justin Bishop, his first Five Nations appearance. And this is Conor O'Shea, who can counter-attack with the best of them. Well worked back. McGuinness, Humphreys doesn't hold it, didn't knock on. Keith Wood the link. Back goes Clohessy. Bit on the retreat, Ireland here, but safely with McGuinness. Humphreys puts up the first of the high balls of the day. Across comes Bernat-Salles. In goes Bell. Knock-on advantage, Ireland. None a cruise. So the first one told.
Excellently executed, if that's not too much of a repeat, but certainly the right decision there. No doubt about what the right thing to do was, and Humphreys made the right decision. Well followed up by Bell, and we need to see more of that. We need to get this Ireland certainly need to get this Irish crowd going, get a bit of noise into this game. It's a little bit too flat at the moment.
And you can see the paint, or whatever they use on these advertising markings, is coming off on the players. There's the man who put in that superb tackle of a finely placed Gary Owen there from David Humphreys. There's Bell, just caused the hassle and panic for Bernat-Salles, and the knock-on. We'll wait because Keith Wood has taken a knock. Here's a man who epitomises Irish fervour. Previous captain, had his little contretemps with the Irish Rugby Football Union, but happily restored and very much a crowd favourite here at Lansdowne Road, as much as at the Stoop Memorial Ground, his club Harlequins. There's the halfway line. There's the blue paint. Well, it's certainly the right colour for the French. But I'm sure the players will be wonderfully happy about it all. Scrummage put in again then with Conor McGuinness. And it collapses to give Ireland a penalty. Referee Marshall says that France were not going in straight, they were pushing at an angle. Tournaire and Califano. This is really a bit beyond a joke, I guess. I mean, I just hope it doesn't go in the players' eyes.
Well, if the referee's awarding penalties, he's certainly not going to be able to say penalty blue in a little while, because that's going to be very confusing.
Well, well. So the die is coming off. And the towel's already out. Both teams being cleaned off. Blue hair by the end, apart from Humphreys here, who takes the kick. He struck that sweetly, but just wide of the right-hand upright.
And these really are chances that Ireland and David Humphreys must take. The game is very much in the balance at the moment, but with France, because they can strike so quickly, Ireland need to get points ahead.
Yes, two early opportunities have gone by the board. Castaignede again opts for the long drop out. Humphreys covers it and sets off Conor O'Shea. Playing so outstandingly at the moment with the London Irish side. Very much their inspiration as well as their captain. That's on the halfway. Ireland have dug it out. Wood, the little kick and chase. Lombard restored, he's fit again, clearly. Held midfield on the 10-metre line, France's side. Carbonneau, this time to the back row of Magne, inside to Castaignede, who's downed emphatically there. And I think it was McGuinness who put the tackle in. France possession imminent. Carbonneau of Brive. And that's rolled into touch. Knock on first though. Justin Bishop winning his 6th cap today, another of the London Irish contingent, his first Five Nations appearance. France put into the scrum. Bit of attention meanwhile for Eric Miller. Packs down now. France have it. Carbonneau, Castaignede, Dourthe. Solid midfield tackling again. And it was Bell once more creating havoc in French ranks. Knock on, though, was against Ireland in this instance. But once more, how quickly the Irish midfield are up on their counterparts.
Well, that was a particularly good Irish scrum as well. The Irish scrum just got that half bit of a wheel, made it very, very difficult for the French back row to control that ball, which helped the midfield defence.
Midfield they are now. Carbonneau, Bernat-Salles coming in from wide. This is ringing the changes. Ntamack out wide, but the knock-on.
Yeah, the knock-on forced by that aggressive pressure defence by Ireland. That's something that Ulster did very, very successful against the French sides they played against. Getting right up, man on man, closing down those spaces.
Back as full-back. His last test was against Ireland in '97 in the Five Nations. Emile Ntamack, a flyer and a great counter-attacking full-back in prospect. Costello. McGuinness. Wood. Dumped the kick again, I think. This time more directly into the opposition. Humphreys. Floated. Too long. Out on the full. Last appearance in the Five Nations was against Scotland before Eric Elwood resumed, and rather in the days as with Ollie Campbell and Tony Ward, different views, different supporters of Elwood and Humphreys, who both up for a lot, but somewhat different ways. Elwood the more conventional, the less instinctive player. Humphreys, his job really to try and set away his three-quarter line. Good close work, Olivier Magne from Lievremont. Carbonneau. Castaignede, dummies to Dourthe, into Lombard, clung to by O'Quinnigan. Carbonneau again, and Castaignede. Beyond the reaches of O'Shea, cleverly placed. Educated boot, that one.
Castaignede had all the time. It was a well-worked move bringing Lombard in from the blind side, and that's what the French are always very, very capable of doing. They got beyond the game line, gave Castaignede all the time in the world to pick his spot, unlike the time that Humphreys had previously, and just put him in on the full.
Ireland's throw, they've Paddy Johns, the front jumper, Davidson in the middle. Up goes Johns in the scrum cap. Paddy Johns, the captain of Ireland. That's a useful ball. Bernat-Salles with enough time though to check and attack. Sets it to Pelous. Magne now. Carbonneau goes himself, almost using the referee as a decoy. But it's well won back by Ireland's pack. Humphreys from inside the 22. Got good weight on the ball. Across comes Ntamack. Back goes Lombard. Up comes Bishop. And that's good pressure from the newcomer. Helped to make that into a very valuable kick.
It's almost as if you can see some of these little Ulster combinations working well. Bishop really came up on the full, being an Ulster man himself, and responded well to Humphreys' kick. But previously, the box kick from McGuinness led to a very good counter-attack opportunity for France, and that's what Conor must focus on today. He's got to get more height into his box kicks, because the last thing you want to do is give the ball to Bernat-Salles and Ntamack with any space.
So we've a problem with Bell receiving attention. He's taken a knock on the head, and whether this is temporary replacement, I'm not sure. On comes Rob Henderson, who will relish his chance. His last was against South Africa in the summer tour by Ireland. So he wins his 8th cap now in the centre with Bell off. Very similar style of player, very direct, very forthright, so no shortcomings there. Ireland advance. McGuinness, Humphreys. Pumps one up high, it's a good one. It's landing on Ntamack, and he's not equal to it. There's a knock on anyway, and Ireland advantage being played. 10 metres out from the French line. That's just the sort of unnerving moment that Ireland had hoped for. Beautiful Gary Owen from Humphreys.
Yeah, that was wonderfully executed, Gary Owen, from David Humphreys. He just sat back in the pocket, played it a little across the field, and Ntamack, obviously having expected this all day, didn't relish his first Gary Owen, and knocked it on with what was fairly little pressure.
A player who hates to kick. He played against Italy in that French 15 last week, and never kicked the ball once in his new position as full-back. And that's very much the Ntamack style. But the defensive role, clearly, question marks are rising already. The boots come off. Well, we're going to have multi-colours, that's for sure, before this one's through. Davidson restored.
Well, who'd have thought we'd see Ireland playing in red, white and blue, eh?
Off goes Costello, taking on the littlest man in Castaignede, drives towards the post, 6 metres out from McGuinness. On goes Clohessy. Still loose, nice pop-back pass from McGuinness to Humphreys. O'Quinnigan. Good defence by France. They've rocked them back a bit and they've won possession. Frank Comba. Super clearance. That's a very good pressure kick. And Ireland unable to capitalise on the momentum. Franck Comba of Stade Francais, the all-conquering Stade Francais, who's come in to replace players like Stéphane Glas and Christophe Lamaison. What depth they've got. Very much a surprise selection, Comba, in my book, with his inability to retain a first-team place with his club, because there's a New Zealander called Cliff Mitton who keeps him out normally. So a bold selection by Scraler and Villepreux.
You just sense that Ireland needs, well, you more than sense, Ireland should really have come away from that with at least 3 points. That's one thing that Ulster did very, very well over the past 3 games, was any time that they made chances for themselves, they took them, and Ireland would have to start taking some of these chances and put some distance between themselves and France.
You saw the triumvirate there of Danaher, assistant coach Warren Gatland, Donald Lenihan. Lennon, who was part of the last Irish team to beat France, that was back in '83 in Dublin here. The days of Slattery and Moskeen, Philor, Fitzgerald. And Davidson gets his footwork in order. Keith Wood prepares with the throw. It's going deep. Works well with Miller. And this is the direct Rob Henderson. McGuinness, Humphreys. Lots of space there. Cross comes Ntamack, hoping it will go over the goal line, and it does. Still with France. Carbonneau, Brouzet, Lombard. Plenty of Irish cover. And there's offside by Ireland. Clohessy. Clohessy protests, but the ball hadn't come out. Paddy Johns just exchanging pleasantries with his opposite number. Very much in the Willie John McBride mould, a leader by example, Paddy.
Yes, he certainly doesn't hang back. He has been quite confrontational. In fact, if anything, since he's taken over the captaincy, I think that there's been a more confrontational side to Paddy Jones's game. But unquestionably, is the support to the rest of his pack, and I think he's really inspirational in terms of leading from the front, which is probably the ideal place to be.
It was all about the French wiles and guiles. This is 7th international against them. Castaignede now with Comba. The number 8 is Lievremont. Crowd appealing for a knock-on, but the referee says no way. But Ireland were the side edging forward, and they've won the put-in. Kevin Maggs put in a big tackle then. And that won't be a weakness, the midfield defence of Ireland, I'm sure.
Yes, the first up defence, Nigel, is holding up fairly well, because certainly France are trying to draw space by bringing in the blindside wingers, and they're not getting too much joy out of it. But I do worry that Ireland certainly need to start being more constructive themselves and creating some chances themselves, because they would have expected to be further ahead at this stage, certainly with the chances they've had.
Yep, we've played the first quarter and there's still no score. This is O'Shea, downed by Philippe Benetton. And he was called up yesterday to replace Marc Lievremont. Humphreys, whoops, man and ball there for Rob Henderson. He won't thank Humphreys for that too much. Traditional red cross pass, and this is where France can capitalise. Comba goes wide to Bernat-Salles. The flyer from Biarritz. Play on, says the referee. O'Shea does. Ireland a bit slow to recover position. McGuinness puts up a very useful box kick again, though. Bernat-Salles underneath, slots it inside, though. And O'Shea's a bit slow to get to his feet. He's struggling a little at the back. And Castaignede, I think, meant to angle that more deeper. Up comes Lombard to tackle the covering Bishop. O'Quinnigan Bit of a mad panic for the ball. It finally eludes the hands of Eric Miller. First throw forward was by France. Ireland have the scrummage put in. And there's clearly a worry about Conor O'Shea. You can just see him there being escorted, but he's not going to risk leaving the field at this moment in time. Bit scrappy the last few minutes, but remember it is a greasy ball, a wet windy day, not helping in any way, and attention required also for, is it Clohessy? And the referee, of course, will wait with a front row man injured.
Yes, Ireland at the moment, David Humphreys trying to be very constructive and certainly trying to move the ball a little bit more into space and bring his midfield into play, but it's almost as if, because he's got more options, that distinct game plan that he's been used to playing with the Ulster side, he's got more options now and needs to be a little bit more discerning, with more decisions to make because he's got more options. I think Ireland maybe just needs to be a little bit more direct, get the ball in the air, and again Conor McGuinness needs to keep his box kicks with a little bit more height.
If you've just joined us, we're live at Lansdowne Road, 24 minutes played of this first half. No score to either side, Ireland having squandered 2 kickable penalty chances through David Humphreys. And very much a war of attrition up front developing. That's Conor McGuinness, Conor O'Shea. Playing the best rugby of his life this season. Costello, Johns, cleanly set back. McGuinness to Humphreys. Up comes Ntamack, he won't relish this one either. It's good work by Henderson. Ireland in possession inside the 22, and on they drive. France at 6s and 7s. Someone's lost the boot. It's not McGuinness. Costello held, surrounded, enveloped even. But there's offside by France. Now surely Ireland can get the 3 points here.
Well, that was really exactly what was needed. It was a superb Gary Owen from David Humphreys and very well followed up by Henderson. We just thought that ball then needed to go very wide, and that Victor Costello standing up close was not the place to be. But they certainly have a 3-point opportunity, and David Humphreys should be able to stop this one.
Well, it was an excellent setup again, following the great work by Humphreys. Costello was buried, but France were coming in from all angles. And Humphreys now has, well, an extra nerve-tingling moment, knowing the responsibilities of goal-kicking. 2 misses. This would settle him and could well settle the Irish side. 26 minutes gone, and no mistake with the 3rd one. And Humphreys gives Ireland the lead, coming up to 26 minutes of this first half.
It's been a 26 minutes, and it's been a rather tentative 26 minutes, it has to be said, from both sides. France seem to be feeling the way maybe of having expected a bigger onslaught than has actually been delivered so far, expecting more concentration on the Gary Owens, which so far have produced both of Ireland's concrete scoring opportunities. And let's hope that Ireland doesn't disappoint in that regard in what's left of this first half.
Well, a reward at last for Ireland, nothing like points on the board to instill confidence. And there's been plenty in this Irish camp this week, following on the dramatic affairs in the European Cup with Ulster, in which they downed so many French top clubs. Problem here, though, with a mistake by Conor O'Shea in front of the post, it'll be a knock-on, and not the restart moment that Ireland would have wanted. Again, I stress, a tricky ball. We've had heavy drizzle. The ground is wet on the surface. The ball undoubtedly greasy. The upshot, a good attacking position platform for France in front of the post, 15 metres out, up from Lievremont. Little chip through by Carbonneau, up comes Lombard. Bishop holds fairly and squarely, but it's come loose France's way, but it was on the ground, hands in the ruck by France. And the relief again for Ireland.
A big reaction from the French crowd, but I don't think there can be any argument with that one. Ireland had the ball well won, and nothing but a hand could have pulled that back.
Well, the chant of Allez les Bleus more than ever appropriate today, because they'll be blue all over before long. Safely away. So Ireland, who put up a brave performance for so much of the match against South Africa in their last big international, having earlier beaten Romania and Georgia. A major test win is what they need. And Warren Gatland too, just 11 months in the coaching position. Good close quarter work. No, was it knocked on? It was. That was just a little bit careless at the back of the maul there. Slipped out of the hands of Quinnigan, I think. So, Philippe Carbonneau, Castaignede. That's gone up to the heavens. Down it comes on O'Shea. Up comes Comba. Mark called, safe. Quick for the counter-attack chance. Comba tries to interfere. Referee would have played advantage, doesn't need to now. O'Shea's made good ground. Ireland pack, scurry, hurry. Lifted on now to O'Quinnigan. Inside to Henderson. Over the halfway. McGuinness to Humphreys. Good cover coming in from Lievremont, but good tackling from Bishop and from Humphreys too across there. Still with France, Carbonneau. Magne tried to catch it himself. All a bit harum-scarum at the moment. Bit frenetic.
It is a bit frenetic, but it's great to see Conor O'Shea and Ireland willing to run that back, and that's got to be part of the newfound confidence, particularly in Conor O'Shea's game, that he saw the opportunity and was prepared to take it. Here we can see the ruck developing. Carbonneau looking to move, the lovely little attempt, almost a la Keith Wood, but just fails to make the pick-up, and Mag's back in, ball goes forward again.
France's 10-metre line. Ireland 3, France 0. Still with Ireland. Paul Wallace with the setup. Johns, McGuinness, Humphreys. Oh, well, it almost worked like a dummy. Managed to cling to it. O'Quinnigan slips that tackle. Looks for support from Dempsey outside, up to the 22. The crowd begin to lift Ireland here. On goes Humphreys. There's an injury, meanwhile, for Clohessy. This is Henderson on the drive. So direct, so powerful. Good pick up, drop goal attempt by Humphreys. Scarce got off the ground. An anticlimactic end as Bernat-Salles covers.
And there wasn't really an awful lot of option for David Humphreys there. He could see that he had Victor Costello and not an awful lot else outside him, and the French cover just fanned across. And with the rest of Ireland's teams kind of scattered around the pitch, there was little else he could really do other than maybe find a touch.
So beginning to string the passes together. There's the direct physical approach of Rob Henderson. Very powerful upper body, and the missed drop goal attempt. Half an hour played. Just the one penalty goal to Humphreys sees Ireland lead. On balance, they've had just the better of the play. Bishop looks for the counter-attack. Magne in with the tackle. McGuinness to carry it on. Humphreys, oh, nice dummy, leaves Dourthe standing. And then it's well fed from Max to Davidson. Humphreys inside, Humphreys almost through himself. Feeds on to Dempsey. 10 metres out. It falls now to Davidson. Powerful hits coming in from the French defenders. Was he offside? Yes, he was. Ireland penalty.
Well, that was a wonderful piece of movement by David Humphreys. If we get the playback, just look the way he pops, feeds, puts O'Shea into space, but follows up again. Henderson has the ball, but it was Humphreys made the space and looked quick on the loop to follow up. Feeds it inside to Gervin Dempsey, who's held up. And the Irish support is quick there. Jeremy Davidson getting lifted back into McGuinness. But the French do well to get back in numbers and force Ireland again onto the back foot. I'll give away the penalty.
The Lansdowne Road roar at full throttle now, with Ireland, having just tapped the ball into touch, have the line-out throw-in 6 metres out. Wood to throw. Davidson in the middle. Ireland possession, going round the short side. The drive to the corner by O'Quinnigan is just held up, bundled out by Bernat-Salles.
Well, O'Quinnigan is really very dangerous on the ball. He's got tremendous pace and strength. A little bit of a set-to going on between Peter Clohessy and Christian Califano.
You can see it well from this angle. Came down off Davidson, a lovely little move. Costello the link, and look how close to that goal he was. So it builds up, just a bit of attention required, and Clohessy would do well not to bother to trade words with Peter Marshall, the referee. And in fact, it's now a penalty to France. Now, was that for words or something else? It's hard to know from here.
I can only assume that Peter Clohessy must have instigated a little bit of that, but you know, that has been a boost to France's confidence. There's no question about that. They've come away from what was a very, looked like a critical defensive situation with their line intact.
From Thomas Castaignede. Had a shoulder operation last summer, has not really been fully fit this season, but was successful in the recent Italy game. Came through that all right. The man who was inspirational in France's colours last season in the Grand Slam year. Carbonneau. Castaignede under pressure from O'Quinnigan. Safely to touch though, but it's Ireland's throw-in.
Well, O'Quinnigan has never failed to impress me. He's been tremendously quick and powerful on the ball, and really when you look at Ireland's breakaway unit of Costello, Miller and O'Quinnigan, it's hard to imagine a more dynamic threesome in the championship, certainly as dynamic at least as the French three.
O'Quinnigan there supporting Costello at the back. O'Quinnigan, product of Stellenbosch University, but with Irish parents. Humphreys, O'Shea, that one was spotted and closed down by Dourthe. It's gone loose, but France can't capitalise on it. And there's a bit of fisticuffs going on the floor. Plenty of tension out there and plenty too in the crowd. In such a close game, the drizzle persistent and heavy here at Lansdowne Road. 5.5 minutes of the first half to play. Ireland lead, a penalty goal by Humphreys to 0. It's gone more than 90 degrees round. Peter Marshall maintaining firm control, player who had charge of England's test against New Zealand last June. Penalty now though, it's catched by France, and Ireland have a penalty head on to the post 30 metres out.
Yeah, as you can see, Paul Wallace nodding his head with some justification. He's obviously having a right old battle with his opposite number, Christian Califano, and he's certainly, by the body language, he's laying all the blame squarely on Califano's broad shoulders. Keith Wood getting in on the act. We can just hear the conversation with the referee, and he certainly wants the referee to know that he feels that the France are consistently trying to lower this scrum, and judging by the colour of Wood's head, he must you'd have to agree with him.
So Humphreys, successful with his last one. Can he make it 6-0? Cheer goes up, the flags go up. Ireland lead 6-0 with about 4 minutes to go of this first half, plus any injury time. So the best riposte to any fracas, any French guiles or misdemeanours is to put the points on the board, and that's what Humphreys is now beginning to do. So a happy hunting ground for David Humphreys. This is proving to be in successive weeks. Captain of Ulster last week in the victory over Colomiers. Victory that followed success over both Stade Francais and Toulouse, and gave such newfound confidence to the Irish players. Lievremont. Switch with Pelous. And Wood going in pretty uncompromising fashion, in characteristic fashion, but legally. McGuinness to Humphreys. Puts another one to the skies. Up comes Ntamack, safe this time. Enveloped by Henderson though, midfield, 28 metres out. And it'll be France's put in. Retained possession after the kick, which of course means that the player doesn't necessarily have to form the ruck to retain possession if he receives possession from the kick, as he did there. And Ntamack safe that time. Carbonneau receives it from Lievremont. Oh, well, that was pretty unequivocal. Miller, I think, that time. Just snuffing out Castaignede. It's well gathered up by Philippe Benetton, one of the old hands in the side. 57th appearance today, the 30-year-old late replacement. Hands in the ruck by Ireland this time on the halfway. Just a couple of minutes of normal time to play in this first half. Castaignede—it's been a fairly uncomfortable afternoon so far. He's had very little room in which to operate. He's been very much a target for Ireland's back row and midfield. A huge chant echoes around this massive stadium. Pelous wins possession for France. Carbonneau just issuing instructions as the Petit General he is. It's gone loose though, the pressure's on again. It was once more Henderson who created problems. On goes Humphreys. Was he tackled? Surely without the ball. Magne was the man to bring him down, and here's the penalty.
Well, French sides know all about David Humphreys' pace over the last couple of weeks. Ireland do well to recover that ball, and again it was that up first front pressure defence of the midfield created the opportunity, and Magne forced to take Humphreys down. He wasn't obviously too confident winning that race for the ball.
The era of the professional foul. He knew what he was doing, didn't he?
All too well. Obviously felt that he'd rather give away the 3 points opportunity, and it has to be said there's an awful lot of that in the game at the moment.
The rain falls as Humphreys prepares. This for 9-0. Scuffed it. As it drifted in, it stayed out. I think he took a bit of a sod of the turf there at impact, and it was never on target. It stays 6-0, and we're exactly 40 minutes played in this first half. But as yet, no real pattern to this French game. They've been hounded and harried and made discomforted. Davidson taps down, but it falls squarely to France. Pelous. Ireland strung across the field in defence. Over the top goes Paul Wallace. Stays onside though. Lombard. No way through there. Costello making doubly sure. Well, it's a tantalising opportunity that confronts France this season. No one's ever achieved 3 Grand Slams in a row. They've 2 under their belt, but this is a tough opening encounter. Castaignede, the man who could turn the game though at any time. Finally caught. Carbonneau, reverse pass to Pelous. And Castaignede on the receiving end once more. He's still on the deck and in some pain, but there's Ntamack following through. O'Shea did well to recoil and just capture his opposite number before he burst away. We know Ntamack's speed. And there's attention still for Castaignede. And Ireland do enough to win the put into the scrum. A dangerous moment was saved.
Very
This man
dangerous
could have
moment.
been home.
Keith Wood must take an awful lot of credit there, because I think he single-handedly was able to win that ball back. He was there with about 3 or 4 Frenchmen, held the fort until the Irish support got back, and now Ireland have turned the ball over.
And we have an injury here too with O'Shea, who took an earlier knock. And whilst we're watching this replay, there was Ntamack. Oh, that was a fine tackle, head on by O'Shea, that brought this injury problem for him, but certainly saved what would have been a certain try if Ntamack had got hold of it. But injuries too for Castaignede. Remember, I mentioned he'd had a shoulder operation last summer, and he's restored now, though. Just looking a little tentative as he faces the next onslaught, which will come from McGuinness. And it was Castaignede who elbowed his opposite number, slightly smaller Conor McGuinness, quite forcibly. We've played nearly 3 minutes of injury time at the end of this first half. And here at Lansdowne Road, it's Ireland 6, France 0. 2 Humphreys penalties, it could have been 3 more. Ibanez, France's captain. Carbonneau, Castaignede. Behind Bishop. Has O'Shea in support. Did he stay inside the 22? Well, it's still in field anyway. Back goes Lievremont. Oh. And unfortunately, Ireland won't be able to capitalise on that little bit of rolling ball luck, because the half-time whistle goes with Ireland leading 6 points to 0 against the country they haven't beaten since 1983. Will that be enough? It's a tantalising prospect for them, and a worrying one for France as they bid for a 3rd Grand Slam.
4:15, but the second half at Lansdowne Road just about to get underway, and the Irish need to build themselves up for this second half. Certainly not, I'm sure, but they're leading France by 6 points to 0 as we rejoin Philip Matthews and Nigel Starmer-Smith.
Thank you, Steve. Well, while you've been away, we've had the European Cup paraded here, and the presence on the field of members of the Ireland team who in 1949 won the Triple Crown and Championship for the 2nd time in a row. So the crowd will have been enlifted. Will Ireland accordingly be inspired? They lead 6 points to 0 as the rain still falls here, but that won't dampen spirits. Ireland, it is then, with the initiative, starting the second half through Humphreys. Pelous on his own 22. Remember last year in Paris, it was France leading 7 points to 6. A tough encounter, that one. So nearly the biggest upset of so many years. Can Ireland this time be on the right side of the scoreline at the end? We've got a replacement on for France. Sylvain Marconnet has come on at the front. And he's replacing Christian Califano, who was certainly an injury doubt before this game got underway, and was carrying a suspected injury in the leg. Ireland come away with it. Henderson's done well since coming on for the equally abrasive Jonathan Bell. Ireland ball. Wood opts to switch to the open side. It works well. Miller takes it on, makes it available well. Quick flip pass by Wood is excellent. So too Wallace. This is a good start by Ireland. McGuinness. Eric Miller. Bit of a loose pass though. Don't want these on a day like this especially. Greasy ball. O'Shea has done well to stay on his feet. And finally a scrummage, and it'll be Ireland's put in. Well, the rain's now really coming down fiercely, which will, I guess, not make conditions any worse than they were earlier.
Absolutely, and that wind is blowing in Ireland's faces. It's not particularly big, but it is filling the flags at the end of the stadium, so it's certainly going to be to France's advantage.
Ireland ball, off goes Costello. Made the half gap, still well laid back. Ireland composed here. Humphreys, switch with Henderson, gets away. Henderson on to Mags. Mags long feed, this time Dempsey. Dempsey enveloped by Ntamack. and by Bernat-Salles. 12 metres out, but it did go forward. It will be France's put into the scrum.
Yes, it'll be France's put in, but I've been very impressed with Rob Henderson since he's come on. He's just as abrasive as Jonathan Bell, but I just detect he's got that little bit more sharpness, a little bit quicker uptake in terms of pace. He gets into his stride a bit quicker, and that is key at international level.
Yeah, Rob Henderson having pretty well a full game, and expected to be in action tomorrow afternoon, incidentally. Wallace versus Bath. He'll be playing in that club match, which you'll be able to see the highlights of on BBC Two Grandstand tomorrow afternoon. I hope Henderson's fit to take part. If they win, he may not recover. There'll be some celebration if they do. Ireland just over the halfway. Costello. McGuinness, Humphreys did it quickly and well. Eric Miller, good pick up by Bernat-Salles, Philippe Bernat-Salles. 7 tries for France. Bernat-Salles scored against Ireland last year. 2 tries against Scotland, another against England. But really has had little chance, which is indicative really of the way that Ireland have closed them down so effectively to this point. Looks as though maybe a blood injury here for Paul Wallace. Quick attention. An experienced unit this of Wallace, Wood and Clohessy. Seem to be holding up very well too. I've seen Califano off the pitch already. Down it goes again. Remember, France have been penalised a couple of times for the collapse. It's an area where Ireland seem to be doing well.
It is, but you can just look at the feet there. They're digging up this side of the pitch, which is very, very thin and sandy, so it's not providing much grip for either front row at the moment.
And referee Peter Marshall is not happy that the blood has dried up sufficiently, so they will wait for the front row to receive attention, and I think the referee would like a temporary replacement to come on, and that would be Justin Fitzpatrick, who was last in action against South Africa here, back at the tail end of November. No mean replacement, the man from Dungannon and Ulster. This time it's in. Victor Costello. Off he goes. Attempted scrag by Benetton, but good ground made by Costello. Humphreys picked that up off the deck brilliantly, but it created trouble. He had to check. And again a low pass from McGuinness, not making life easy for the men outside. But they're still going forward, Ireland, and still in possession. Half chance there, Miller in support of McGuinness. Once again, McGuinness, Humphreys this time, not much outside, but inside is O'Quinnigan. Pops it up well. Henderson caught on the kick, off goes Clohessy, ever closer, 15 metres out, rebounded off a French player who's offside. It's a penalty to Ireland, and well deserved.
Well deserved penalty, but it could so easily have been more than that. The try line was beckoning in if Ireland could have got that ball out wide, but much more constructive from them. Good to see the loose forwards getting in amongst them, and also again Rob Henderson to the fore.
Yes, the work of Victor Costello has impressed me immensely this afternoon. The only one of the back row who was in action in this game in Paris last year. And Paul Wallace is back on the field for Justin Fitzpatrick as Humphreys prepares to increase the lead to 9-0. That's what it is now. And that becomes a useful lead. It takes Ireland at least 2 scores clear. 9-0. And how will France react? We've always known temperament, concentration has been a problem for Ireland, for the French. And now they're under real pressure.
And that's not the first kick-off that's been fielded poorly by Ireland. A little bit of indecision again. The Castaignede kick into no man's land low. bit of indecision on the behalf of Wood, and ultimately Costello leading to the knock-on.
It's a penalty to France, offside by Ireland. O'Quinnigan, the man singled out. Interesting decision to be made by Ibanez here, and it looks as though they're in the modern style. They will go for the line out, tapped into touch by Castaignede. Doesn't look his normal bouncy, effervescent self, does Castaignede. It's been a tough afternoon for him so far. He's been operating with quite a lot of slow ball. He's been closed down fast. But can France come back here? Olivier Magne. And that's careless. Advantage to Ireland. They'll get the scrummage if they don't get any advantage here for the knock-on. And that's what they're going to have now, back to the scrummage.
Yes, they did well to defend that line. It's always a danger area, but I suppose that defences these days are getting so well organised to that full line-out, and France themselves have responded very well early in the first half when Ireland had that great position. So if Ireland can break out of that, it'll be a tremendous confidence boost, because they really need to up this pace. They can't rely on always having the upper hand. France have yet to explode, and we all know how quickly they can do it.
A lot of tight play, close quarters, and Ntamack in there. But Ireland managing to get on the right side. And this is the man who's shone so far, Victor Costello. He really has laid his body on the line.
Yes, he's really targeted Thomas Castaignede today, and from a big forward's point of view with his power, he's been able to get outside of the opposition blind side or open side wing forward and get to Castaignede, and I'm sure Castaignede hasn't been too happy with that all afternoon. In fact, he hasn't been happy at all, as we were saying earlier on. That Ireland need to keep that pressure up on him if they're going to see this lead through to the final conclusion.
His clubmate Trevor Brennan of St Mary's waits, but Costello will continue, will not be replaced. It's a big scrum here, Ireland's put in, and now Ireland give vent to song. McGuinness won't find touch. Knock-on advantage Ireland. Wood, what's he doing there? We're not going to ask the same question. Scrum won by Ireland.
Well, he was breaking the gain line, that's what he was doing there, and one of Keith Wood's more productive runs, because that was a dangerous position to be in. Conor McGuinness electing not to go to touch and give France the attacking line-out again, and if they can work themselves out to this, then Ireland will do well.
And it looks to me as though Costello will need to go off. The trainers are there in support. Denise Flanagan, Donald O'Shaughnessy, and here's a man who's done outstandingly well so far. This, what, about 11 minutes into the second half, and it will be a testing time for Trevor Brennan, who wins his first cap in the Five Nations, his third in all, the 25-year-old, a big man to replace a big man, 6'5", 16 stone, and off goes Costello to a very big round of sympathetic applause. He's played his part. Can Brennan now replace him in like kind? McGuinness, nice break. Gives Ireland the initiative over the 10-metre line. Off goes Wood. Takes out Brouzet. Bruising tackle too. Miller. Good acceleration. Still with possession Ireland's way. Over the halfway. Humphreys looks for the big miss move. O'Shea a bit static. Henderson rolling over on the right side to make it available, but he's not. In fact, well, that seemed a trifle harsh. I didn't think Mags had actually... I thought he was still on his feet as Brennan takes on the first opponent. Makes his mark early, but it's going to be a penalty to France on the halfway.
Well, that's one thing Trevor Brennan will have to watch. He is a fairly abrasive personality, to say the least, and the French are probably the best at getting that out of you. So that's one thing that he's going to have to keep his mind on the next few minutes as France find the touch out on the full beyond the 22.
It went way out over the dead ball line in the end. Disquiet in French ranks, and Ireland will try and capitalise on their temperamental vagaries. Well, there's no doubting who's been ruling the roost since half-time, but there's going to be words here with Clohessy, pulled to one side by referee Peter Marshall. Paddy Johns wants to know why. And it's a penalty. Well, a little bit of indiscipline by Ireland this time. Peter Clohessy has had his moments too in a charismatic career, one might say.
You could say that. The indistinguished label of being the last Irish player to be sent off in an international, so he certainly needs to get a hold of himself now for the remainder of this game.
2 years ago against France, indeed, Clohessy got his marching orders, so he needs to quieten it down. 3 years indeed in Paris. So it's France that have possession. Castaignede. Not 10, France. Warren Gatland in the middle between Philip Danaher and Donald Lenihan. Lenihan, the manager, with the smile on his face as Ireland continue to lead 9-0. 14 minutes we've now played in the second half. The rain pours down, the ball too on France. Franck Tournaire turns. And Keith Wood has a personal contretemps with Philippe Benetton. No doubting that, and I think there could be serious trouble here.
Well, we've got one of the most experienced referees on the world on the touchline, and we can't have failed. Jim Fleming can't have failed to see what happened there.
Well, it was, I'd have said, as blatant as can be. You'll see now, there's the initial impact of Keith Wood, who's hurled to the ground. Up goes Benetton, in goes the punch, and I would have thought marching orders.
Well, if these three can't sort it out, nobody can. It's obvious that Keith Wood seems to be quite hurt there. What seemed like it was a fairly robust challenge, all right, to say the least. It all depends on how Jim Fleming read that situation.
Jim Fleming, the touch judge on this near side from Scotland. Peter Marshall. And Philippe Bernat-Salles is being given the yellow card. Well, I'm afraid that surely is misidentification.
Total. I mean, you have to say that maybe evidence of video playback would have sorted that situation out very quickly, because from us sitting up here, it was clear as day exactly what happened.
No question at all. I just think, Bernat-Salles says, what, me? I mean, I don't think he's involved. Anyway, a yellow card for the luckless winger. No doubt about who this was. And no doubt about what he did either. But he's still on the field and untainted. Play resumes after that flurry. And Ireland sitting on a 9-0 lead. And this is the kind of grinding down and war of attrition that France did not want to get involved in.
It has to be said, though, Nigel, I've been a little bit disappointed from a French perspective. There hasn't been an awful lot from this French side, has there? Ireland have closed them down well, but they haven't looked to their forwards, and they haven't struggled through that period. They've
lacked fluency throughout. And if this man doesn't operate so well, then the team doesn't either as a whole, and that's Castaignede. He misses the touch that he was looking for. Back goes Conor O'Shea. Well, not much chance of breaking away from that triangular attack of tacklers, but Ireland still retain possession. Humphreys back in the 22. Just floated that one safely out.
Yeah, Humphreys' touch kicking has been excellent all day. He's been spot on, and for such a relatively slight man, he's certainly got a big boot on him. That ball coming into what is now a slightly stiffening breeze, and it's certainly likely, if anything, to get up for the remainder of the half.
Well, it's a key element of concentration now. Conviction, but not over-anticipation. They've got to keep France at full stretch and not concede penalty opportunities, not give away easy ball, continuing the way to drive on up front as they're doing now. Tie them in. Here's Humphreys. That's a rebound, unlucky. Off goes Magne. Magne followed by Lievremont. It's a race now. Across comes Bishop. Bishop's got the speed. Lievremont with the tackle. Ireland scurry back. France attack. 10 metres out. They've done well, but it's charged down off McGuinness. O'Quinnigan to the rescue. 3 metres from Ireland's line. Humphreys, last line of defence, and secure again as he was here last week for Ulster.
Well, that was wonderful last gasp defence by Ireland. 2 times they had to get back and recover, particularly from Conor McGuinness's charge down kick. Lievremont taking the ball forward, who's been operating on the wing for most of this game. Justin Bishop does very well to get back, turns, presents the ball. The support is there, and it looks like Comba's charged the kick down, and who gets back again but O'Quinnigan. Very impressive defensive work. He's had a great game so far.
Dion O'Quinnigan, first game in the Five Nations, a man who came through via Western Province and Stellenbosch University in South Africa, but of Irish ancestry, legitimately enough. But it's France attacking again, keeping it close, trying to build up some momentum, trying to build up a pattern. Flip pass inside is effective. Good drive on by Lombard. And France in striking distance now, 10 metres out. Frustrated again. And you can see the rain is heavy now, but not dampening the intensity of this encounter. In the wars again is Keith Wood.
Yeah, and here France taking on a close quarters, which many I would have felt certainly before the selection of this game. Benetton is really only on because he's injured, but the France might have come to Dublin with a more physical back row and really taken on Ireland up front, which they're only now starting to do.
Keith Wood, former captain against France in '98. Big chance here for France, who still look for their first points. In control of the scrummage, Ireland wheel it round. The referee plays on for a little bit, but then realises that it's a penalty, in fact, that's been awarded for deliberately turning it. So wait for the charge from Carbonneau through Dourthe. The set-up midfield, trying to roll it to one side. They've still got the momentum. They're over the line. The referee looks. Can he see? It's given the try. The try for France is given, and there's sort of mayhem breaks out. But certainly a try has been awarded in that tangle of bodies on the floor. And I think it's Dourthe who's awarded it. Richard Dourthe, who was the man who took the first pirouette pass. And so, unsurprisingly in a way, France have fought their way back into this contest with their first points of the afternoon. Let's watch now. We've played 21 minutes. This was the build-up.
Dourthe in the middle there, but the rest of the French forwards get there in time and just managed to take it over. And it has to be said, Ireland didn't seem particularly happy about that. Peter Clohessy in particular.
And with the conversion from Castaignede, it's 9 points to 7. And now it will be a bubbling cauldron out there.
It certainly will, because we all know, and France now feel that they're back in, played themselves back into this game. Their tails are certain to be up, and that's when they're at their most dangerous.
And the referee absolutely certain of the score. It looked reasonable enough too. So that will have lifted the morale of France, which might have been sagging. And accordingly, a huge touchline find from Castaignede. Into the last quarter then. Well, there are no faint hearts out there, but they'll need tremendous concentration, self-discipline now. Justin Fitzpatrick is poised on the touchline to come on as replacement. And Clohessy is to be replaced by Fitzpatrick, who comes on, having already been on as a blood injury replacement. Off goes Clohessy. So Ireland bolster their pack with a fresh pair of legs in the front row. 9 points to 7. Ireland's 3 penalties to France's converted try. Carbonneau. This is the French replacement, Sylvain Marconnet. Good work by Humphreys, who's rescued possession. Trevor Brennan drives, sets it up on Ireland's 22. O'Shea screws it away well.
That was a fabulous kick by Conor O'Shea, showing the advantage of that cultured left boot. Exactly what was needed. This breeze is stiffening, and that was a very good clearance. Perfect spiral on that kick, which it needed to carry the distance.
So another newcomer to Five Nations rugby, Fitzpatrick, has earned his spurs, as we saw in the contest against South Africa here before Christmas. Meanwhile, Thomas Lievremont. Castaignede into the heavens. O'Shea with support from Dempsey, mark called and given.
The correct tactics from Castaignede there, and indeed Castaignede taking a leaf out of David Humphreys' books. This really is perfect conditions for the Gary Owen game.
It'd be a wonderful day at Thomond Park, wouldn't it? In the pouring rain, as we now have, the breeze as well. But it's not kept hold of by Eric Miller. France repossessed, they're dangerous now, tails up. Such big incentives for both these teams. And Ntamack comes up, a rare occasion that.
Well, this period is going to require a lot of discipline from this Irish pack now, because this breeze is really stiffening up. France seem to have a little bit of a hold on them in terms of territory. Ireland really need to fight their way out of this and start playing more of the game in the opposition 22 just to 10 yard area, or else France can only but score. You just get that feeling.
Inside the Ireland 22, with Lievremont on the short side. Ireland a little slow to regroup and get behind the ball and the man. France trudge forward. Castaignede, Dourthe. Still with France, Carbonneau, Lombard. Ever closer, about 8 metres out now, and with another put into the scrum. Well, there was a time you'd have said these were perfect conditions for Irish rugby, but not anymore.
I think it's actually suiting the French. The French would be more than happy to sit here and maintain that ball, to keep the continuity going through their forwards. That's a very, very sapping thing to have to defend.
An experienced United pack that seems in these last 10 minutes to have really come together. The collapse scrum this time is by Ireland. A penalty to France, 6 metres out. Testing times. We've 14 minutes to play. Well, there was a time when you'd have no doubt in bringing up your place kicker to earn a 1 point lead, but I sense not. It'll be the line out, because Castaignède's aiming for the corner. I'm not sure what Tournaire is doing. Oh yes, nice touch. Just a reminder Castaignede where the corner flag is. And the referee says wait, he wants it taken again. Ireland regroup on their own goal line.
It's an interesting tactic. Castaignede does not want it too close to the goal line, because then the Irish backs will be able to come up and help defend that line out. He wants it sufficient so that there is a bit of space between the line out and the try line, so that France can gain some momentum.
Tense moments these. Thierry Cléda is waiting to come on as replacement. But not interrupt this line out now with Pelous, the front man, Brouzet in the middle. Pelous takes, they come round. Ireland form the wedge in counter. The ball is there. A knock on surely by Carbonneau. It is. And that was greeted by as big a cheer as if Ireland had scored.
Yes, and I think applause of relief as much as anything else. You can almost hear the sighs.
McGuinness. That's the corner flag just behind. Carbonneau trying to tackle him. That's drifted infield in the wind. A knock on though, it's going to be Ireland conceding a scrummage pudding. The tension now evident. Gatland there on the left, Lenihan on the right, and here's Thierry Cléda, who remarkably was a replacement in all 4 of the Grand Slam internationals France played last season. He comes on now to win his 8th cap. And from Tau is Fabien Pelous, has done his bit for the day. Tactical substitutions, not injuries, these. Scrummage collapse. Still deep inside the Ireland 22. The tension mounts with every passing minute. Ireland looking for a first win against France in 16 years. Still lead 9-7. Think how they led in Paris and were denied at Stade de France last year. And then lost at the death. It's another put into France. 11 minutes to go. Well, errors are plenty, unsurprisingly, in these conditions. France certainly haven't been their fluent best by many a mile. It's the 22. Carbonneau leaving it to his back row. Thomas Lievremont has it at his feet. It's 90 degrees round. It's hard to exaggerate just what a victory to Ireland would mean today. It's 10 years since they won the opening match in a Live Nations Championship, let alone beat France. Pushed through by Carbonneau. Lombard is in touch. And it's going to be Ireland's throw-in. That's important.
Very important that Ireland have the throw, as you say, Nigel, but it's very, very difficult to see what they can do with the throw in terms of getting themselves out of the situation. What they won't want to do is just France another attacking line out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Gary Owen being used again just in behind the French three quarters, somewhere up around the middle of the park.
Keith Wood. The chant rises to the heavens again as Wood prepares. Paddy Johns. Secure. McGuinness. Still in play. It's a good follow-up by Bishop, I think. Over the 22 now. A rather healthier situation for Ireland. They've withstood that persistent pressure. Up again from McGuinness. It's a good tactic in these conditions. Bounces anyone's ball. Ireland have it. Yeah. A put into Ireland for a knock-on.
Yes, and you could just see Conor McGuinness using the wind. If you remember, we said in the first half he had a bit of the wind behind him and his box kicks were going too long. No such case this half with the wind against him. It's just holding those kicks up nicely.
Counting down to 8 minutes to go, plus whatever injury time is to be added on. Ireland up towards the halfway, and again, it's a good move. McGuinness for the 3rd time. Possession regained. Humphreys. Switch across with Mags. It's an untidy though, and it's gone back to France. Away by Benetton. Castaignede. There's no one back there till Miller gets deep into the 22. He's got to kick it. And well played off his left foot.
Well, Eric Miller showing all his Gaelic football expertise to get that one into the touch, into the breeze and off his left peg as well.
That's what it is, the man who came out of Wesley College and returned to Ireland this season to Tournaire after time with Leicester. And we have a stoppage with Justin Fitzpatrick requiring some attention. The line out is on Ireland's 10-metre line. Ireland 9, France 7. Can they retain their discipline, their commitment? Have they still the energy in this great battle up front that there's been? A real war of attrition, but the Grand Slam pack of 2 seasons is being held. And so far, Ireland still lead. And Ntamack, so little we've seen of him today, but did enough to get the ball to ground and win the put-in to France.
Trevor Brennan first up in that wave attack, and he managed to turn Emile Ntamack very well, but with the momentum that France had going into that, they retained possession.
Away by Lievremont. Ntamack very close to a forward pass. Olivier Magne knocks on.
And again, the Irish crowd breathe another sigh of relief. I think Ireland really need to get out of this situation. And again, Conor McGuinness, Gary Owen, back row falling on retaining possession looks like the only option from this position.
Well, nigh on 50,000 have screamed themselves hoarse. Very largely the Irish contingent. What heroes these men will be, but a nasty moment again, but is it offside? Benetton, yeah. Charged down the kick of McGuinness, but was offside on the fringe.
Well, that's a significant break, a very significant break. That gives David Humphreys at least, or Conor O'Shea with his left foot, some chance to gain a little bit more territory, get the lineouts and start playing more of this game in the French half.
Well, it was here a week ago that the whole of Lansdowne Road was on its feet, literally clapping, cheering, in the certain knowledge that with 5 minutes to go, Ulster had won the European Cup. No one dare, I think, move into that mode just yet, because there's nothing certain with a margin of lead of only 2 points. Taken by Davidson. Keith Wood in safer territory now. The graft up front. Carbonneau. Castaignede, is there a moment of magic left from him? Diagonally crossfield. Conor O'Shea has time and common sense. Just pins France back again, the line out inside the French half. It's in sight now, the crowd know it. The players know there's plenty of time for things to change if they don't retain their total concentration and discipline. About 4 minutes. Ireland 9, France 7. Down to Carbonneau. Castaignede. Dourthe trying to run through a brick door. Tackled by Humphreys. Stolen though by Miller. But a late tackle adjudged by Peter Marshall.
It's so important that Ireland keep their discipline. They can't afford to give kickable penalty opportunities to Castaignede. Doesn't matter that he's not the most accurate place kick in the world, they just can't afford to do that.
Trevor Brennan, the replacement, gets a yellow card for a late tackle. It must have been so late because it was some way away from the ball, wasn't it, which we were following.
That has been a little bit of a criticism one might have had of Trevor Brennan over the years, is that discipline factor. He is, in fairness to him, very eager to make the hits, and he is a big tackle merchant, but he needs to slow it down a bit.
Well, I mentioned, would there be a moment of magic from Castaignede? He knows that time is running out. There's about 3 minutes to go, and he has the chance to give Ireland the lead for the first time with this penalty goal attempt from a metre inside his own half. This would be quite remarkable from the man who's scored 138 points for France in 15 internationals. This for the lead if he gets it. He struck it superbly well, but it's going wide. Cheers of relief resound around Lansdowne Road. It stays Ireland 9, France 7.
But they're not out of the woods yet. Should France manage to maintain possession here, what bet the drop goal attempt from Castaignede?
An important drop goal, a good drop kick, a good one too. Ireland untidy though on reception. It's advantage France here. Castaignede, Ibanez the captain, down by O'Quinnigan. Tackled by Wallace. Is he offside? It can't be, appeal the Ireland players. It is, says Peter Marshall, the man who matters. And this is a far, far easier opportunity now for France to steal it at the death. Is it going to be heartbreak once again for Ireland, as Castaignede tells referee Marshall he's going for goal?
Well, and Ireland's anxious to close that down. It looks like they've put a foot offside.
So Paul Wallace given as offside, and so dramatically with just over a minute to play, this could give France the lead and perhaps the match. Thomas Castaignede, 24-year-old, it's all on his shoulders. He strokes it through the middle. 10 points to 9. He knows the significance of that moment. Punches the air. And that was it. We are now down to 40 minutes played of this second half, and for the first time in the match, France have the lead. It's cruelty personified for Ireland. And as we come into the dying moments, the commentators here have agreed that the man of the match, the Lloyd's TSB man of the match, is Rob Henderson. But it's not over yet. Wallace, can Ireland come back from imminent heartbreak? They have a penalty chance. This could be the coup de grace.
Well, I don't know if my heart rate can take all this, but I mean, Ireland really did well to get up there, to get that position. Paul Wallace taking the ball on, and now it's down to David Humphreys, which should be a fairly straightforward in normal circumstances. It's on the right side of the field for him, being a right-sided kicker, but yet those posts must seem very, very narrow to him now.
He's kicked 3 this afternoon, but if this one goes over, he will not only be a hero of Ulster, he will be a hero of Ireland for all time. We've played more than half a minute of injury time. This surely for the victory. Ireland 9, France 10, this is Humphreys. It's drifted to the right. It's drifted away, it's missed. He throws the kicking tee away disconsolately, and France have a 22 dropout. Whatever happened to Irish luck? France 10, Ireland 9.
Well, I think there might be a little bit less than luck in it. We did say before the game that maybe selection of David Humphreys as place kicker, having not kicked through Ulster's interprovincial campaign or in European Championship campaign, might be a bit of a risk.
Well, a very obvious, sensible restart by Castaignede, puts it as long as he can. Ireland have just got to get within kicking range, drop goal range of some sort of points. They have a penalty here, but that's on Ireland's 10-metre line. We've played a minute and a half of injury time. It's Humphreys. Ireland break out with Keith Wood. Wood still goes. The Ireland forwards are there. They've still got energy. They've still got reserves. They're still determined to turn it back. Trevor Brennan goes on. Ireland release it again. Eric Miller chips over the back. Can he regain possession? And Ntamack kicks out. And the referee blows the final whistle. France are jubilant. Surely they can scarce believe their good fortune, because they've turned round what looked like imminent defeat into last gasp victory, thanks to Thomas Castaignede and that penalty goal. And there must be heartbreak, there's surely tears for Ireland, so close in Stade de France a year ago, and today, having led for 80 minutes, they concede defeat once again in this sequence that goes back to 1983 here in Dublin. A bold, brave Irish performance, but in the end, the frustration, the disappointment of a game that surely seemed won, and even in injury time could yet have been won, turns into defeat by a single point. Philip Matthews.
Yeah, I'm almost just can't believe that Ireland didn't hang on to there. They really must have been their best opportunity of all over the last number of years to finally overcome this this French side. They'll be very, very disappointed. There's no question about that. What can you say?
Well, I guess the picture of the Ireland players at the final whistle said it all. The picture too of the French, who know they got off the hook. Can't really say they were let off the hook. They did sort of mount a tremendous rearguard action.
Conor O'Shea, Conor.